Hello, aloha, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Welcome to the members as well. Big thank you to the mods today. Nancy, Mama Opal, and Dip Me in Glitter, I believe, are here to help out. If you have a question, put question in all caps in front of it. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can as we go through the recap today. We've got a lot to cover in terms of Scientology protest news and so much more. I'm Natalie. This is Scientology Life After a Cult, where we talk about the Scientology news that has the internet buzzing, touch on my 35 years leaving with my family, and I'll do additional content throughout the week. So when you do hit subscribe, please hit that notification bell so you can get notifications, hopefully, when I go live. I really appreciate all of you being here. So let's get into all of the things that we have to get into. And oh my goodness, is there a lot? Let's see here. First off, did you guys see Bianca's new intro? Bianca's channel is a Scientology rundown, and she's here on YouTube, and we're going to go take a little look at this. I thought it was just fantastic and so creative. This is a Scientology rundown, Bianca's new intro on her YouTube channel.
You've probably heard of Scientology.
So, trap?
Trap.
Hello, and welcome to Flag.
It's a trap!
Deep down, you know the truth.
It's undoubtedly a trap.
I can assure you, we are not what you expect.
It's a trap!
If Scientology isn't a cult, then you won't get in trouble for watching this.
Oh, I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. Tell me what you guys think in the chat. If you're on the replay, no slacking, jump in those comments. Tell me what you think too. I absolutely love it. Okay. Now, first off, Jen Nelson, thank you. Thank you so much for being a member for 4 months. Good morning. I'm excited for the 14th to help celebrate my Tony. Me too. I'll share some news about that. Nancy, don't let me forget. Maybe we'll share that at the end because, yeah, there's a few things planned I wanted to let you guys know about. Okay. God, I just love that intro so much. And she's so right. That really just says it all. If you can't listen to this, if you can't read this, if you can't expose yourself to something, you know, maybe you're in a cult. It just says it all. I just love it so much. Okay, so let's now jump over. Whoops. Where did that link go? Hold on a second. Did you guys see Scientology's new plan for recruiting and how they're going about doing it? We are going to look at an article that's on Tony Ortega's blog. There is some Scientology propaganda on there. Scientology to clear planet with killer new marketing campaign. Are you lonesome? This is not a joke, my friends. This is for real. This went out, is going out to Scientologists. Let's take a look at it here. It's this mailer here. Talks about their team. Hold on a second. I want to scroll down there. It's Church of Scientology Mission of Moore Park. Are you lonesome? And it talks about their mission, that a group is fun, a group is communication, a group is society. You know what? I agree with that. It's a poor man who isn't king in some corner. Form a group and stop being poor. Now, that's like... that I do believe is from L. Ron Hubbard, because they said it's an excerpt from HCOPL. HCOPL means Hubbard Communications Office Policy Letter. He wrote an actual policy letter called Lonesome. And to be honest, I don't remember if I ever saw it. I don't. So it was a little bit new to me, but this gives you an idea. And if you take a close look at these pictures too, these are people who are older, and some of them are my age. I don't mean older in a bad way. I'm 53. I'm about that menopause life. And I just think that that is really targeting people who are already maybe feeling vulnerable. If you're feeling lonely, and trying to use that as a button to get them into Scientology. It just rubs me the wrong way, but you guys tell me, what do you think about that? Doesn't it seem a little like, It really does. Sandy, oops, that went by real fast. Sandy, swipe right, lose your savings, your family, and your mind. That's right. You don't want to be swiping right on Scientology. Swipe left. And Hausdorff, good. This is, yes, I agree with you. The loneliness epidemic is actually considered a serious mental health issue here in the UK, and there are programs to combat it. Also here in the United States. That's why this is so insidious, because they're trying to tap into that button, to that ruin, if you will, as they call it in Scientology. So heads up on a swivel, people, because they're going to be getting that message out in different places. Yeah, it's just giving so much desperation. Did you know? We're going to look at something else here. There was also a price list released that is, I think, recently from Scientology, it was saying in the blog article, but I wanted to share this with you guys for a minute because many of you might not know. What does Scientology actually cost? When you go into a Scientology organization, right? What are you signing up for? We're not talking about all the additional fundraising, because in addition to paying for Scientology services, you have to pay for the front groups, the Foundation for a Drug-Free World, the International Association of Scientologists, which exists to build a war chest to attack Scientology critics, the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, the Way to Happiness, so many of them. It's constant money, money, money. What have you done for us lately? And I'm not even joking. You could donate the week before, because in Scientology, the weeks go from Thursday 2:00 to Thursday 2:00. And then the memory is wiped of anything that you did. It becomes, what have you done for us lately? What have you done for us today? So let's take a little bit of a close look at this. An intensive in Scientology is 12.5 hours of Scientology auditing, which they like to call counseling or processing. Now, if you get 2 12.5 hour blocks, 25 hours, oh, it's still $5,000. But if you get 4, it's $4,750. And people, not $4,750 for all of the hours. It's $4,750 for each 12.5 hour block. So it's $5,000 for a 12.5 hour block of auditing. Now, let me throw a little wrench in this equation. I think that's the price list for the smaller Scientology organizations who can deliver up to the state of clear, where you realize, oh, I was creating my own reactive mind, and I'm not going to do it anymore. Forget the fact that it's the reactive mind that L. Ron Hubbard told you have and how it works. But somehow you pay tens of thousands, if not over $100,000 to find out that, wait, I've been doing it and I just don't need to do it anymore. In other words, I just got to stop believing it. What you told me, what was real. I didn't even know what the clear cognition was until I left Scientology well after, because in Scientology auditing, even though I had done some of the upper levels on the bridge to total freedom, you know, they don't tell you what you said that was the magic word that got the gates to open. And when I heard that, I was like, wait a minute, that was it? And I do remember saying something similar to that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Honestly, that bugs me more than getting to the upper levels and learning about Xenu and body thetans. I was like, But when I left Scientology and found out what the clear cognition actually was, I felt betrayed. I did. There was betrayal. So in the upper levels, though, it is, and somebody tell me, I don't have the exact number because it feels like a million years since I've been in Scientology, even though it's only been 14. If you're an ex-Scientologist at the advanced organizations, isn't it like 8, 9, 10,000 for a 12.5 hour auditing, a block of auditing? And see, in Scientology, when you start on a certain level, the case supervisor tells you to do this step, you're going to need 3 intensives of auditing or whatever it is. Then you go to the registrar who's like, and then get your money. And then you go and you do the auditing, which you're not allowed to start until you've paid for all of it. So yeah, it's a lot of neuropsych, money. And there's nothing wrong with money unless you're Scientology and you're taking it from people so that you can sock it all away for David Miscavige. No, 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 no. But anyways, it just was interesting to me and something to know. And I thought maybe some of you might not have heard about how much it actually costs on the cheap end. So I thought I'd share that. Now, literally, Serge shared a video with Serge Obolensky. Literally, Serge goes over and spends time with the other Serge, Sturgeon Serge. And whether it's grabbing food, spending time, doing art therapy, it's something he's been doing with him. And it's absolutely such a beautiful thing. If you are not familiar with the story of Serge Obolensky, just give it a Google. Serge Obolensky, Scientology, escape, that to learn. He was the son of the executive, what was it called? Commanding officer of the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. And he had an accident that blew off his hands and he was completely discarded by his family. His father, Blue, took off with his mistress, and his mother put him away somewhere, not a facility, mind you, that would have been a kinder thing than what actually was done to him. And he became unhoused. He wasn't mentally well. He wasn't getting the help he needs. And it's a whole story, and you really should get the whole story. But what's beautiful today is he has friends. He has people who support him, and like literally Serge, who go ahead and go and do art therapy. And let's take a little look at what they were doing.
Where do you notice that?
Hotel from hell, in case you can't tell. So that's where we are.
And then the other one there is other Serge, no brainwashing, mind control, associating that symbol there is the operating THETAN symbol in Scientology. And 666, of course, as I understand it, is the number. Is it the number of the devil, the number of Satan that it's considered in Christianity, I believe? So he's making that association. And art therapy is such a beautiful thing. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm so glad to see him doing that. Lulu Mon's mom, thank you for becoming a member. Mahalo and hip hip hooray to you. Kayla McDonald, thank you so much for becoming a member. Hip hip hooray to you. I'm so glad that you're here. Windy City Thetan Watch, is there really a price list, or do the prices change from org to org and time to time? So as I understand it, back in my day, there was a set price list for that level of organization. A Scientology mission, which is the smallest type of Scientology organization, has certain prices for, say, Dianetics auditing. They don't deliver as much as a larger organization, but they charge less. If you go to the next step up, which are the organizations most people protest at, like as in Austin, in Denver, that's called a class 5 organization because they deliver up to that level of training in Scientology. And they all have, so like if you go to Hawaii to a class 5 Scientology org and you go to Denver, it should be the same price. Now, when you move up to a higher organization like in Clearwater or Los Angeles, the price goes up again. The Advanced Organization of St. Hill, the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles, the Flagland Base, it's most expensive there in Clearwater. That's probably why they have the nicer buildings too. They figure they gotta give it that look. But yeah, so hopefully that answers that there, Windy City. All right, let's see here. Where am I at? Let's go. Oh, speaking of art therapy, actually, I was, because I was watching that video with literally Serge doing art therapy. And then some people sent me a link to Declare Dave Loves Suppressive SHERRI. That's his channel name here on YouTube. He does great content. They've been out to protest, but he also does content about different aspects of Scientology. And he himself was doing some art therapy in a adult coloring book, which I got to say, you guys, is one of my favorite things. I love adult coloring books, and I need to carve out more time for that. Except this one is Color Me Scientology. Take a look.
People in this chat and out there in the world that had to deal with this cult. We can never truly know what it was like for you. But we'll be there for you.
Do you see he's putting bars on the photo of Danny Masterson that's in the book, the coloring book? I believe he got it on Amazon. I actually ordered one for myself. Has different people from, who've left Scientology. There's a couple who are still in there. I think John Travolta is in there. I had never seen this before or heard of it, Color Me Scientology. So I thought that was kind of cool. I think it needs to be updated and expanded. I feel like there should be one for just even like our, YouTube community and protest community. I want to color me Scientology, but I want to be coloring Confident Chris or Jessica Palmadessa or Streets LA out there doing the thing. Hollywood Aja, just that I think would be so much fun to be able to do that. Maybe somebody could make something like that. You got so many of you out there are so creative. So creative. It's incredible. Sancho, good question. Do the dorms have locks? Any privacy? The dorms, when I was living in the dorms, my room did not have a lock on it. You just went in and out. Anybody could go in and out. Now, when I had a private room, which is when I was married at 17, my husband and I at the time had a room. And I do believe there was a key to that door because it's one key. Some dorms, as you go higher up in the organization, may have been locked and they may have been given keys. That was just my experience when I was there, but that could, it could be very different. But basically the simple answer is no, there's not really any privacy. You got to remember too, that in the C organization, you get room inspections. Someone has a right to come in there and go through your stuff, check for white glove, look for contraband, things that you're not supposed to have, like media or a television, just things like that. So I would say, no, you don't have any privacy. They go through your mail, right? We've heard multiple stories and reports about that where mail's gone through, that they receive it opened and their correspondence with family or anyone is really being watched and gone through, even phone calls. When my daughter, Shelby, was at the Flag Land Base doing training, when she would call me, her phone calls were being listened in on. Somebody was there either right next to her listening or on the call itself. And I could always tell when that was happening. Sometimes she'd be able to get away and, I would know that it was just her, mostly because she would tell me. But other times they were definitely listening in. So I would say, no, privacy is not a thing. Because you could be planning to leave. You could be planning your escape. They have to keep an eye on that stuff to keep people to stay. It's so crazy to me how Scientology and the Office of Special Affairs, wake up if you're there, you put so much time and energy into keeping people somewhere, into stopping them from looking, listening, hearing. If you were so confident in your group and what you were doing, why not just let people be? Why not just let people be? And that is something that I know as an ex-Scientologist, after 35 years in that cult, I really do my best with people a good example is like here on YouTube. You have so many different communities and genres all over YouTube. There's so much content there. There's over 2 billion people on YouTube. Watch who you want, follow who you want, subscribe to who you want to, unsubscribe to who you want to. You do you, boo, because guess what? You get to be friends with who you want. You cannot be friends with who you don't want. Let people make their own decisions. That's something that in Scientology was very much, we were not allowed to do. It was very controlled. Who you could speak to, who you could be friends with. If Scientology had a beef with somebody, Scientologists were not allowed to be connected to that person. We saw that all the time. Many of us, when we left, experienced the mass exodus on social media. For example, like on Facebook, you might have had a ton of friends who were also Scientologists. And then as soon as you're not in good standing with Scientology, or they say that you're not, or you're not in favor, what they do is go around to those individuals, and those individuals send messages to each other to basically cancel you, to not be friends with you anymore on Facebook. And this is digital media. This isn't even, and of course, this applies in real life for Scientology. But I say to you, you do you, boo. This is like, people get to communicate with who they want. That flew by so fast. Sancho, is theft a problem? When I was there, I did not have an experience with theft, but again, it was not to say that it didn't happen. I know people who got in trouble for theft, so it was an issue at times. Another issue was like, there seemed to be this like entitlement, like if you had a wedding dress, you had to share that wedding dress with other people if they knew about it, because I mean, sometimes you wanted to because people didn't have resources to do something like that. But you see what I'm saying? It's very much, it's very controlled that way. But I knew people who got into trouble for stealing things, including my own sister. When she was at the international base, she shared this story on a video earlier that she did here on my channel in the early days. I think it was back in December or January. She was trafficked into the Sea Organization at the age of 14 from Hawaii, which is where we're from, sent to Los Angeles, and then sent to the International Management Base. She had no guardian. She wasn't going to school, none of that. She didn't have money. She couldn't get snacks. It was just the food you could get. And honestly, she was hungry. She was thirsty. And there was some change in a big jar of a room that she was cleaning that belonged to, I think it was the commanding officer of the Office of Special Affairs or the Commodore's Messenger Org. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask her. But she took some of that change so that she could get, I think it was like a Gatorade or something like that. And it's even just kind of hard to falter for that. But I, like I said, I wasn't personally unaware of any major theft, but not to say it didn't happen. Because like, as I like to say, just because I didn't see it or experience it does not mean it did not happen. Okay. And on the topic, Lady Victoria, where did you leave your stuff? If you were in a dorm room with other people and everybody's sleeping on a bunk bed, where did you put your stuff? Most would have, sometimes you'd have a trunk. At a certain time in the Sea Org, they were handing out these Sea Org trunks, and that is where you would put your stuff. How they fit those into a dorm room, I'm not actually sure, because by the time those were being handed out, I was a teenage bride and had my own room, and so our trunk was in there. So maybe some other people in the chat, if Amber or other ex-Sea Org members are here, can kind of speak to that as well, how that was done. Paula, towels, you had to buy your own. I don't recall ever being issued a towel or anything like that. You had one towel, like we each had a towel, because you didn't really have the funds. You're making $47 a week to spend money on that. Or maybe oh gosh, I haven't thought about this in a long time. If somebody would blow or leave, all of their stuff would be taken and then redistributed. Even their personal belongings. I'm talking about clothes, uniforms, things like that. Now, is that handled differently today? I have no idea. But I know that when I was there in the Sea Organization and someone blew, it was like, oh, they blew. And what was horrible, it was horrible if they would come back, but a lot of their stuff would be gone. I once went on a recruitment tour for a while. So I was traveling and my wedding dress got passed around. That wasn't even with my permission. Just somebody felt so emboldened. I think I lent it to one person and then it should have came back to me, but instead it got passed around. And I never knew where it went by the time I was, then having my child and all that. I just don't know. I don't know where it went. But it's easy to leave all that stuff behind because there's usually not a lot of it. If you're in the Sea Org, you don't have a ton of possessions and belongings because you do live in a small space. And if you are living in a dorm situation, it's even more limited. All right, let's see here. Let's now take a look at another clip. Let's go to Selfless Self, where if Selfless is in the chat, or Eric Rader or Rica, is this a regular thing you guys are doing this Thursday at 2? Because I'm here for it if you are. I just came across it. People sent me a link to this video here. Eric talks about loneliness in the cult of Scientology, which again, it's so interesting because we were just talking earlier about how Scientology is targeting people who are lonely. And we know that this is an epidemic, not just here in the US, but as someone said earlier, also in Canada. Take a look.
I've always talked about loneliness. Is a huge feeling, but it's so weird because you're always around people. You only get 8 minutes to yourself every day. Everyone's smiling and shaking hands and hugging, and you would think you're the least lonely person in the world, but you're the most lonely person in the world because it's 100% crap. And it's so wild for me to hear people from other scenarios say they felt lonely. I've always talked about loneliness is a huge feeling, But it's so weird because you're
just, I mean, I think that, you know, many can relate to that. And being in this organization and surrounded by people, it was some of the most loneliest times in my life was when I was a Scientologist, if I'm being totally honest. Even though, because you couldn't really trust your friends, you couldn't really be vulnerable. There were things I couldn't talk about. I would get in trouble for talking about with my friends in Scientology here in the Twin Cities because I was an operating THETAN. I was a Sea Org member, even though I'd left the Sea Org years ago. They constantly hold that over you, that I needed to maintain some idea of what a Sea Org member and a Scientologist who's done some of the upper levels should be. And I just wasn't that. So it made it difficult because if word got back to Scientology that I was sharing difficulties or troubles with other Scientologists that I shouldn't have had because I was clear or I was an operating THETAN, then I would get in trouble for that. So you can't really establish any real relationships. You get really good at handling things on your own. You do. That is their intention, to isolate you, to strip away your individuality and cut you off from other people. The only way any of us are going to make it through this, through life, is with each other and through connection, whether it's here online or it is in real life. And to be able to have true connection and real friendships, that's a level of trust, and not thinking that, oh, this person's now going to go run back to Scientology and talk about what I spoke about in a private conversation or at a moment when I was being vulnerable. And that's not limited to Scientology. This is, you know, in real life. I've been out of Scientology 14 years. I've run into and seen similar things in real life in my communities and even in communities online. So that behavior, it's just Scientology gives it an extra twist and makes it even more insidious. But if you have the opportunity to be a friend to somebody, maintain their confidence, create a safe space where they can have that vulnerability, that is what all of you, I can speak for myself, do for me and have since the beginning. When I sat down to tell my story here on YouTube and then went ahead and created a channel and continue to show up every day and everything that I've shared with all of you. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And it's healing. And it shows, I think, many people that you can be vulnerable. And if you're vulnerable and somebody has something to say about it that's negative or whatever, that's that person. And it speaks to them. It doesn't speak about you. So continue to share, continue to create community, continue to show up. And the people, you know, you will attract the people who are more of that vibe. And if there are ones who aren't, then it's okay to move. It's, you know, you don't have to sit there and just be bombarded by negativity. You know, if you belong like out in the world, when I left Scientology, I had different, you know, you make different relationships and different friend groups and all that around different communities that you live in. And I was surprised to learn that people outside of Scientology were still carrying on some of those negative human behaviors that were happening in Scientology. The difference is it is validated and encouraged and part of the Scientology culture, mindset, and philosophy and belief to treat people that way and use those mind control techniques. But manipulation in any form like that, it's the same thing. And I just, like, it blew my mind when I was getting out in the world. I was like, whoa. It's like that drama, that human nature to do that seems to exist all over. It's just a whole lot of worseness in Scientology. But I found that fascinating. But I appreciate everybody who continues to show up and shares and who emails me. I love you guys. You're absolutely incredible. Let's take a look. Let's go over to PTS for Life. Jeff did a video. In fact, this morning I was watching it while I was getting ready. And he shares about he did an application to the SPTV Foundation, and which was granted. And he's sharing, we're going to take a look at his video on what he is going to do with that. I think it's very exciting. I'm on the board for the SPTV Foundation. There are many people who I would honestly say right now, the vast majority so far don't want to share their story. They don't want it to be public. They're still dealing with a lot, and they have a lot to work through before they're ready to open themselves up publicly, even though the vast majority of that support, or what would come to them, would be support and well wishes and all that. Many are just not ready or wanting to do that. And I was really happy to see that Jeff made this video and shared, because I'm so excited about what he's going to do. So let's take a look at this here.
The SPTV Foundation hadn't really done any major fundraising events because they're still forming. They're still waiting for that, I guess, the 501(c) status to fully come through, as far as I know. And yeah, so that's why I didn't. She goes, just apply. The worst they can do is say no. And so I said, you know what, you're right. So I sent in my application, and that was on approximately, I think it was like May 23rd, around there, give or take. And literally 4 days later, on Memorial Day, which was it's a holiday, it was the Monday, Aaron messaged me, and he goes, hey, I got your application. Do you have time for a chat? And I said, yeah, sure. I was unbelievably surprised at the difference in the response time. To use Scientology terms, the comm lag was much shorter with the SPTV Foundation. And so I said, yeah, anytime, whenever works for you. And so I think he pretty much called me right away and had a quick chat about what the program is, a bit more information, and details and stuff like that. And Aaron's response was, this is absolutely something that we want to help with. Like, there was no like, oh, I don't know if we want to do this. This was so direct and definitive. Yes, we want this kind of thing to be happening. This is what we want to help people who have left Scientology get into. And I applied thinking maybe I'll get a little bit of money towards it to help out. I was not expecting the full amount, although I did, put the full amounts as to what it was going to cost. And obviously I couldn't get an answer directly then because they have a board and they had to go through it all and apply it. But like the encouragement and the automatic support from their side was just phenomenal. So time went by, and it was actually only a couple weeks that went by that they had their board meeting and discussed it. And there was a little bit of clarification, which I should get into really quickly too, because without specifics, too deep in the specifics of it, but the aftermath, or sorry, the SPTV Foundation, they came back with a little bit of clarification as to what the program does, because keep in mind they're all American, I'm Canadian, so laws and rules and what can be called a counselor, what can be called therapist and so forth are different between the two countries. And so they wanted to just verify and make sure that I knew and had done the research fully as to what this program will allow me to do, and that it sets me up for a career path, which was applicable or appropriate and what I feel like is right for me. And so they did. And they even reached out to some academics and people in Canada just to clarify everything. And yeah, it was amazing the level of care that the SPTV Foundation gave. I didn't actually
Jeff, you got to go watch the video, link down below to the whole video, because he really gets into explaining the program that he's doing and what he's going to be able to do in this field of trauma counseling. It is so exciting. I was so happy to see this. I love it. And I've been a fan of his PTS for Life channel since I learned about it. And I've had him on the channel here, I think once or twice too. And I really see this as a turning point to have somebody think about it who went through the experience that Jeff did as a Scientologist and to come out of it. And then to go and get an education to be able to help other people, right? Even in other cults, in different situations that just might be similar in a high control group. This is really creating and planting seeds that are going to grow into these trees. They're going to shade so many people who are going to be able to be helped, whether it's leaving Scientology or there's something they learn through videos or other work that Jeff or other people like that do. So was so happy about this. I'm so glad that he did that and shared what he's doing. It's really impressive. And I think that Jeff is going to hit it out of the park. He talks about how difficult the schooling is and the standard that things are going to have to be to, but I know that he can do it. And I think we are all going to cheer him on in this venture there. And I'm super excited. I'm also excited because KELLI COPTER was live, and it might even have been this morning because in England it's later. We're just going to take a little peek because the whole thing was fabulous. Couldn't even clip it.
But I will be soon because I am at King's Cross. It's very, very busy here today. Friday, the weekend, people are probably getting trains to all over the place. I am waiting for a train also, not just come here for fun. I am going back to my hometown this weekend to help a friend film a concert. So that's going to be really fun. So I will be doing that. Let me know if the audio sounds better like this with me holding the little thing rather than clipping it to my.
So down below is a link to the full video, but KELLI is just so much fun. I love her so much. I'm trying to convince her to come out here to Minnesota and spend forever with me. But I know she's got a life there. So I'm like, you got to come visit. You got to come visit. And not just because I still want to set her up with my stepson, but which is something that we just keep joking about. But love it. Go check it out down below. Link to her video and all the videos that we're going to be going over. Member for 4 months. Thank you, Susan. Hey, back to you. Thank you so much for being here. Sir Crepitus, thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. I appreciate that. Hip hip hooray and mahalo. All right, let's now go over and take a look at what's happening with Danny. Danny has been a live streamer and protester in Hollywood and Los Angeles. He's traveled to other organizations and has done the same. I protested with Danny in Clearwater. He came out there when Tony and I were out there. He's been to Austin, I think Chicago, and other Scientology organizations, not just there in Los Angeles. Him and Leah have done an amazing job raising awareness about Scientology. And Danny is having legal issues because of this ridiculous incident where he was going down by the blue buildings and there was a Scientologist on a scooter who wouldn't move out of the path on the sidewalk. So it was Danny and I think Hollywood Aja and maybe one other person were there, went around him. And then when Danny went around, this older Scientologist rammed his scooter into Danny and then filed a police report claiming that Danny hit him and tried to steal his scooter, which is absolutely ridiculous. So Danny now hit a recent court. He had an attorney there who, I'm going to be straight up, this attorney sounds sus for a couple of reasons. One, he was trying to push Danny into taking a plea deal that was ridiculous. Danny did nothing wrong. The entire thing was on video. So I'm glad that Danny did not take this deal. And what was the other thing? Dodge Landisman, if you go to his channel, he did a video with an update on this court case and I think a couple of other ones as well. But Dodge Landisman shared that Danny's lawyer told Dodge not to show up to the hearing. Dodge was going to show up to cover it, to support him, right? To see firsthand. And the attorney told him not to show up, which is kind of weird. So I don't know a ton about it, but I do know that, and it all seems sus. But let's take a look at a little clip from Danny's video.
I asked for a continuance because they wanted me to take in a plea. Moxon was like, take a plea and we won't go to court. But his plea was pretty much 100 yards. So seriously, the same exact thing as the TRO. So I was like, no, I'm doing the continuance. Hell no. The lawyer kept on asking me, are you sure? Are you sure it's not going to stay in your record? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm going through it. We're going to be fighting it.
And I'm glad that he is. And I'm glad that, he's getting guidance on that too from other people who know much more about that than I do. Danny does have, and we're going to link it down below, support Danny's battle against Scientology. If you can help with, he is getting a new lawyer. That's what the continuance is for. And this is truly ridiculous, you guys. If you guys have been around from when that time happened and you saw what happened, you can go back too and watch the video. It's all over the place. It's just insane that it's even gone this far. And of course, they're going after Danny because he's shown up so much at multiple Scientology organizations around. And let me tell you this. Do you know what Scientology is more afraid of than protesting and being called out for their human rights abuses and all of that? Do you know what freaks them out even more? What Scientology ultimately really fears, their biggest fear, which is the thing that they try to disrupt, that's community. And Danny and Leah have traveled across the country creating community, helping other people who wanted to protest or who had questions about Scientology, people who didn't know about it. And they're both just these kind individuals who have continued to do this. And you'll notice this, Scientology will start to attack, if they so much hate it that really when you start doing things to create community and bring people together, that's where you can really look for trolls, because there's regular internet trolls, like that's totally a thing. But there are either Scientology trolls themselves who are actually from Scientology, or trolls being inspired by and encouraged by and gaslit by unknown Scientology trolls. They don't know that they're actually with Scientology. They just get into the chat and they just start trying to stir up disagreement and things like that, because Scientology is so threatened by that. it is truly one of their biggest fears, and there's nothing that they can do about it. They can try. Sometimes it works, but for the most part, this community, this drive, this desire to end Scientology and their abusive practices is bigger than any of that, and it's going to continue to be as well. So link down below to what I just shared, where if you have the ability to help Danny with these legal costs, please do. And if you can't, don't worry about that. Go over, give him a like, give him a subscribe, give him some words of encouragement. That is all supporting and helpful, and just continues to help to create community. Like I said, I'm glad he has people who are helping him recognize that, hey, something was going on with that other lawyer. So now he has a continuance and he's going to get another lawyer. That is really good stuff. Okay, let's go take a look now at Confident Chris, who was on L. Ron Hubbard Way. And Confident Chris seems to have this magic superpower. Do you guys know what it is? Besides the confidence and just having a great fit all the time and all that, it is his ability to get them to just change direction on a dime. And I love it when he captures this on video because it's so funny and it usually happens so fast. You got to keep an eye. Take a look.
Whoop. Is that Jesse? Jesse, you were running. You were running.
Did you see them? It was like a twofer. They both just went and turned around as soon as they saw him.
Jesse.
You see it right there. They are. Boom, turning around. The other young lady too behind him. Same thing, turning around and running off, because I truly believe that this is Confident Chris's superpower. He seems to repel. He is like kryptonite for Sea Org members. And to be honest, anybody with a camera videoing, showing light, showing the truth is kryptonite for people in the Sea Org. And it's unfortunate because people in the Sea organization, I've said this before and I want to bring it up again. They didn't join the Sea Org, the vast majority. There are a few who are just, they are that level of evil. So of course they would, love something that would control and manipulate people, and they could be as sadistic as they wanted to. Those people exist in the Sea Org just like they exist anywhere. The thing is, most people who join the Sea organization, they believe that they're helping. They're giving up their entire lives. They're giving up having children, all of these things. People don't do that just because, oh yeah, sure, I'll give the next billion years of my life to something. No, you have to believe in it because it's helping other people. They are getting almost nothing out of it. In fact, it's harming them. And that is the sad piece in all of this, that the vast number of Scientologists and Sea Org members were doing this because they think they're doing something good. When I was in Scientology, I thought the same thing. I believed the propaganda. I thought we were doing good things in the world. And I started finding out that those were lies and it was actually not true. And it was propaganda. And that helped me open my eyes and move beyond it and stop supporting that group. And just keep that in mind when they're out there, that some of them are outright buttholes. And they're going to be, whether they're in Scientology or not. It's just Scientology has a way of amplifying, I think, if you have those seeds of being more on the destructive side, because it plays right into how L. Ron Hubbard would want you to treat people if you were in a position of any position of power or management, etc. All right, let's take a look now. This is where I need your help on this one. So this is a clip of Confident Chris running into a guy he referred to as Grande, and I don't know who that is or the backstory. So it's another reason that I wanted to share this, is I want you guys to explain to me what's the backstory behind this.
Not Grande. Not you. You remember me? You don't remember me? What? I remember you. You don't remember me? I'm a big fan. I'm a. What's your name? My name? Chris. Chris. Oh, okay. Yeah. From Miami, I think so. Miami? You been to Miami? I'm not from Miami. That's crazy. You selling jewelry today? Looks pretty. You don't draw anymore? Yes. Where you be drawing at? Many places? Not Grande. Not
That's cool. So it sounds like, based on what the chat is saying here, that he was an artist at Winter Wonderland, which is this BS event that Scientology does to suck people in. That's how many people became familiar with Scientology Audit Streets LA. Jessica Pomadessa and Confident Chris was there, all in the beginning, exposing Scientology at this thing. It was fantastic. Kathy says Grande caused a scene at the Winter Wonderland on Hollywood in December. Ooh, what kind of scene? I wonder what that was all about. Interesting. But there he is, and he just showed up. It's amazing. Mama J, I know. Did he not remember him, or was he just trying to pretend he didn't remember him? I don't know. Oh, okay. Rena says he was shouting in foul language at the protesters for interrupting the Wonderland. Well, makes sense that he's back there at another Scientology event there on L. Hubbard Way, where it's what? What? Crickets, crickets, crickets. Nothing is happening. Nobody is there. Are we all surprised? No, we are not. Oh, and he was cussing in front of children too. Interesting. Okay, Stinky Cat says that Street has a short about it on his page. Okay, cool. So you can head over to Scientology Audit Streets LA, check his shorts, and it will probably be there. I'll try and look for that later. It was just interesting. So later on, then, Confident Chris was outside there on L. Hubbard Way, and the police show up, and they had an interesting interaction. It almost seems like the police are kind of getting tired. They almost sound like, oh gosh, I have to show up and tell you this. So here we go.
What they on this time, man? What they on this time?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess they're calling because you guys are kind of harassing people and stuff.
No, we're not harassing anybody.
So I wasn't here to see it. So
yeah.
That's what they're claiming now. You're the Confident Chris, right?
Yeah.
So
you remember me? Yeah, I know.
You, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
How you doing? Are you good?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
They always make up stuff.
Yeah, they like to lie too. So.
I'm not here to see everything. I'm just kind of here to do my job, man. Come out here and try to talk to everybody. Right?
Yeah.
So they're claiming that you guys are harassing people attending the carnival here. They're documenting everything.
Mm-hmm. We are too. So
I know you guys are. Good.
Yeah, doesn't it really kind of seem like just I have to show up and say this? I almost want to tell the LAPD at this point, some of them anyways, just blink twice. If Scientology is holding you back there, like what's the deal? At the same time, they go on to basically kind of threaten them with like it could escalate to an arrest. For what? For what? Harassing people at the carnival? Number one, what people? Number two, what carnival? The one guy sitting there at a tent with empty tables after empty tables. It's a ghost town. It's ridiculous. It's like, how do you even say that too? Like harassing people at the carnival when you can see there's no carnival and there's nobody there. But let's just pretend it is such a case of what was that one story? The Emperor Has No Clothes, right? Where the emperor walks around with no clothes and everybody pretends he's wearing the most amazing clothes. Isn't that how that goes? I don't totally remember. It's been a long time. But let's just, are the LAPD really going to pretend that there's a carnival going on and that there's people there? Where? Maybe they're body things and we just can't see them. I don't know. You're right, Jordy. It's a carnival for empty chairs. That's what it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just so weird. Mama Opal says our carnival is better. That's right. Sandy McKenna. More like a haunted house. Absolutely. Don Holt, that's a great idea. I want Mindy Willens to go there and sing Empty Chairs and Empty Tables from Les Mis. That's kind of a fun idea. You know, it's my dream, you guys. Let me just digress for a moment. A flash mob on L. Hubbard Way. It is my dream. It is one of the things that I hope I get to see in my lifetime. I think it'd be so great. Oh, that would be so fabulous. I'm really just like dreaming about it now. Paula, does freeloader debt get reported to the credit rating agencies? No. It's not a valid debt. You cannot legally charge people for training to do their job. Especially you got people who went there 15, 20 years and now like, oh, you got to go pay from job training from day one. They're going to bill you for your, that's like, you know, if you're in the military and you do boot camp and then, you know, you decide to leave, do they bill you? They don't, right? As I'm saying this, I'm like, they don't, right? That's basically what it would be like. So no, I am not aware of it ever being reported to a credit agency. I'm not, because my understanding is in most parts of the US, it's illegal to bill people for training for their job, which is what the vast majority of these freeloader debts are for. But somebody tell me if you know otherwise. The Watts 05. It's a carnival for body thetans. Maybe. You just never know. I don't know. Maybe we need to bring in a medium or something, right? There's an idea. Maybe somebody should bring like a psychic or a medium who can communicate with people who no longer have a body, and maybe find out if that's what's happening on L. Ron Hubbard Way. I don't know. I just do not know. All right, let's take a look at, this is from Hollywood Aja, and Hollywood Aja came up upon what looked like two Sea Org members arguing. I'm not sure if they're arguing or just passionately discussing or what the deal is, but we're going to take a look at that. Let's see. Hold on, I was just looking at this. Fluffer Squirrel UK flash mob for the IS event would be awesome too. Oh my gosh, yes. In England there? Ooh, can you imagine? Like, what would the song be? I don't know what it would be. I just feel like this is a thing. KELLI COPTER. KELLI COPTER. You got to do a flash mob in the UK for the IS thing. That would be so great. Christy, I have no idea. Thank you so much, though. I really appreciate that, because I feel like such a hot mess. The lipstick is whatever I usually find in my drawer in the bathroom. There's been this one I've been finding. I know it's MAC, but I'm the worst. I'm the worst at that stuff. I barely, as you guys can tell, I I'm the worst when it comes to clothes and things like that. I want to get better. I want to learn more about makeup. It probably says it on the tube. I should go look. It's just so small that I can't read it. My camera roll on my phone is full of photos of labels, because I have to take a picture and blow it up to see anything and read anything. It's insane. All right, let's see here. SPTV and Espanol, thank you so much for the super chat. When we take down Cult of Scientology, I will start a petition to change the street name to SPTV Way. I love it. Yeah, I say, why wait till we take them down? We're already like on the way for that. Why not? I mean, as I understand it, it's something that the city or the county decides, and the people. These are public streets. So might take some doing, but I am totally here for that. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Anyways, back to this video we were going to look at. This is Hollywood Aja on L. Ron Hubbard Way, I believe, or around. Oh no, this looks like it's by the Horseshoe. Maybe around the corner, but let's take a look at what is happening here.
Interesting. Oh wait, those are two guys. No, that's it. I can't tell.
Hard to say. Could just be saying like, dude, why'd you write that knowledge report on me, man? I thought we were friends. Hey, I got pressured. If I didn't like report you, then I was going to be found guilty of the same crime. He's like, I know, I get it, man. But we were friends before the Sea Org. Okay, that's my fan fiction of what's happening here. I'm not sure what it is. Frankly, it's nice to see them out there just, not constantly working and maybe taking a moment. But I think Hollywood Aja is right. Something was going on there, and you could feel the energy, especially in the beginning. And then one of them, the guy who was more animated, maybe he got his TRs in and kind of calmed it down there. But interesting catch and find there from Hollywood Aja. Link down below to the full video so you can see her other content that she's been doing around L. Ron Hubbard Way there as well. Now let's take a look at Windy City Thetan Watch over in Chicago. Look at this.
Yeah. Are you in neighborhood? Are you in the neighborhood?
No, my son.
He's speaking to the father of a young man, I believe, who is looking at going to the college that's right next door to the cult.
Yeah.
So that's really important. So I imagine that's the strategic setup
Correct.
to try to get
Yep.
them while they're young.
They already did. So Tuesday night I was here, and there were about 10 college age kids that were brought in here. 3 of them went into Columbia, and they had them as students because they badged them.
By the way, did you see that guy who just walked by? He mistakenly,
one of them,
hold on, he was mistakenly, it looked like he thought that that was the building for like maybe the school. Then he kept walking. I don't know if you guys saw that.
black, and then COVID.
So they're basically educating him on what Scientology is next door. And the dad had definitely concerns about it being next door to a college, and he called it. That's probably the strategy. Let's look at Austin, Oregon, right across the street from a big college. That is the strategy, because remember, they're not getting those second, third generation Scientologists so much on account of this thing we like to call the internet and social media, and kids are growing up on TikTok and YouTube and all that. And then Scientology stuff just gets into their feed, and next thing you know, they're seeing me talking about Scientology, or Confident Chris, or Jessica Palmadessa, you know, other people who are on different platforms as well. And what happens? They're like, yeah, no, mom and dad, no. And frankly, the mom and dad of today who are having, maybe not that they wouldn't still disconnect from their kids, less of them are willing to do it today. So these younger kids, I'm talking younger millennials for sure, and Gen Z. And the alphas are tiny. Generation Alpha, that's my grandson and my granddaughter. By the time they grow up, are you going to be hard pressed? Because even though you can find a third generation, or I mean, look at Jenna Miscavige is a third generation Scientologist. If you count my grandpa dad before he became a dad, before he became grandpa dad, I'd be a third generation Scientologist. I count it from my mom, because my mom kind of just slid in there and they were already in Scientology. But you're just not going to find it as much. You're going to be really surprised. Scientology and OSA, Office of Special Affairs, part of the struggle with recruiting young people into Scientology is not just because of the internet. It is largely actually because of the internet, but it's also because their parents are more aware of what's going on in Scientology, and they are learning other tools outside of Scientology and realizing that, hey, family's a lot more important than we thought. And I'm not going to, especially people like me who fought for my child when I was in the Sea Organization and I refused to end my pregnancy, which is what Scientology pressured me to do, sent people to lock the door in my office and high pressure me into ending a pregnancy that I didn't want to end, nor did my husband. We wanted this child and I fought for her, as did other people. When I was there at the time too, that's when I met who I was actually replacing was, Sean Angelina's mom. Those of you who know Sean Angelina, and we were pregnant at the same time. That's how I know Sean from. He's someone who works for the Office of Special Affairs and has been at different protests. And really, it's just, I'm sorry, Sean, but you really have been a butthole. You really have, through your actions. But I want you to know, back in the day, I have no idea. I haven't seen your parents for years, but I knew them to be some of the more decent people that I knew. And I know how much they fought for you, and I know how much they love you and their other children. And I just think there are parents out there where if you want to leave the Sea Org, that your parents are going to be there for you in a different way that our parents were not. And it's a different scene. It's just very different. Very different. All right, let's go take a look also at Windy City THETAN Watch, who, let's see. This is funny. You could the staff members across the street, but well, you know what? Wendy will explain it.
That's right. Go home. Again, I don't know if on this camera you saw it, but he smiled when I pointed my arm back towards the org, and he smiled.
I love that. I just love that. I love that. Also, Windy City THETAN Watch apparently has the power to repel Scientology staff members back into their hole, stopping those recruitment efforts, which is so important, and educating the public on what it is. Now, take a look at this video from Love is Love, who protests out there in Salt Lake City, and Laura FM was on there helping her along. This was just, I love collaborations.
Yep, nice. I know that you don't have to report to me, sir, but I'm just asking. I'm just a friend asking.
Communication is a universal solvent.
Communication is a universal solvent.
Why are you not talking to us?
Make up your own reactive mind,
Oh,
sir. Come out.
Yep, nice.
I know that you don't have to report.
Just really cool. It was really neat to see Laura FM helping her out there while she was protesting. All right, let's grab here a couple of questions. Let's see. Elise, Natalie, did you get my email recommending the song Dancing in the Sky by Danny and Lizzie? I'm not sure. I will check, and feel free to go ahead and send it to me again too, so it pops into the top of my email box there. I'm not the greatest with names on a good day, and especially right now, I feel like I'm retaining 1/3 of what I normally do. And thankfully I learned, I've been listening to this book. Barb, SPTV Tattoo Warrior, sent me this book, and another friend of mine recommended it, called It's Okay to Not Be Okay. And in the first chapter, she talks about like the memory loss and it's just like, and I've talked about this too, where I feel like I'm developing some type of grief ADHD. And the good thing was reading and understanding that it's a normal part of the process. It's a natural part of going through grief and such a loss. And thankfully it'll get better. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely. But so, if you ask me if you got your email, I'm always going to say, I don't know. I guess so. Just do me a favor and send it again. And everybody who emails me, I appreciate it so much. Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com, especially when you send clips and articles and timestamps for Scientology news that, caught your eye or you find to be really interesting. I appreciate that so much. Anne has a question. Who in this economy has an egregious, is it egregious how you say that, amount of money to spend on this ridiculous over something meaningful like travel or something of value that really brings joy to someone? And you got to word that a different way for me, because I'm not fully understanding that. And again, having said I'm like 1/3 capacity here, but if you could reword that a different way, I might be able to answer that question better. Oh, Quirkalopus. That's so cute. # Serge squared. That's right, because we saw a clip earlier of the two Serges together. I love that. Amber says, I was really good friends with Serge Obolensky's brother, Sasha. Miss him very much. Yeah. And good to see you, by the way, Amber. Let's see. Me and Taz. How the heck do you remember all these job titles? I can't remember what day it is. I can't remember. I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast right now, or even if I did. But if I thought about it enough, I would. But there's something about, I mean, you guys probably experience this to a level, right? You might not know, like I said, what you had for breakfast or what you did yesterday. But as soon as a song from the 80s comes on, you know every single word. It's just some level of muscle memory. And in the C organization in Scientology, you are drilled over and over again. It's very repetitive. Things are very repetitive over and over and over again. And so it does tend to stick and becomes almost like part of that muscle memory. But there's so much that I don't remember, but job titles and things like that. And when I grew up around it, so I think it just becomes easier that way. All right, let's see. Okay, great idea. We need an exposition of their art when they finish their project. That'd be fun. I think it'd be neat to have an art exhibit of all the different types of protest art. Maybe it's even done online. I don't know what that would be. Seems like doing it in California with probably the largest concentration of even ex-Scientologists might be a place to do it. But I think it'd be really cool to see something like that online, because as you guys know, I mean, art therapy, doing art, you doing the adult coloring books. I love that. That is it just really helps me clear my headspace, or doing a puzzle. And there are so many of you who create such amazing art that you've done, even that I've gotten, that some of the handmade and homemade cards have just been so impressive. I'm like, wow, it's all art. Fluffer Squirrel UK does a art and ponder that she does with different people on her channel. And I think that's fabulous. Ooh, Fluffer Squirrel UK. Maybe you want to put together like some type of a protest art exhibit. I think it would be really neat. We'd have some really fun things that would be in there. Let's see. So Joe Studio. Religions usually have members pay tithes and offerings that are totally voluntary. Couldn't the existence of a price list prove they are a business, not a religion? You would think so. And I can't tell you why it doesn't, because they're set prices. They are. And they're not, I mean, could you not pay any money in Scientology and still be a Scientologist? Technically, but really not for long, because every single service or course or auditing that you do in Scientology, there's a fee for it. Even when they do free lectures, those are just to recruit people into Scientology. That's all that's about. It is completely a business. KELLI, Wisconsin. I'd like to drive to my Tony's celebration from Southeast Wisconsin. Looking for someone to carpool with in my area. I don't want to drive that far alone. All right. Well, KELLI from Wisconsin, maybe you could throw up or email me a way to actually, you know what? We'll put it up here and then people will figure out a way to connect with you here on YouTube. Because if you send it to me, it'll just get lost. Yeah. No. I got to not be coordinating people's travel plans. I'm playing Nancy's voice in my head. I know she's in the background yelling at me right now. No. You don't take that on. So if anybody sees this and is in the Wisconsin area, maybe that's something that you guys can connect on. And thank you so much for coming to that. It's going to be great. So the celebration of life for my Tony is going to be on July 14th at the guest house in Excelsior from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we're going to have probably on the early end, I mean, it's a celebration. Tony did not want a somber event. So we're encouraging people to come in their aloha wear, because that's not just my culture and that of my family, but Tony very much embraced it. He said when he would go home with me to Hawaii, that's the most peace he felt of anywhere that he's traveled to. And he had been all over the world. So it's going to be fun. There's going to be some hula. There's going to be music. We're getting things figured out. My daughter, Kelsey, is helping to coordinate people that want to come and help out. So if you are coming and you want to help out with some things, shoot an email over to, oh my gosh, I can't remember. Speaking of not being able to remember, hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now. And Nancy, I should have sent this to you, but it's mytonysluau@gmail.com. And luau is spelled L-U-A-U. mytonysluau@gmail.com. If you want to volunteer or help out with anything, go ahead and email her. Now, here is the thing that I want to make sure that I don't forget to tell you guys. On Saturday, the day before the celebration of life, I think it would be a lot of fun to go protest Scientology here in the Twin Cities. So I am going to put something in my community page that's going to give you the details and information. But I'm thinking that it's going to be late in the afternoon on the 13th. You know, I don't know, maybe between 4 and 7. Church of Scientology Twin Cities is located at 505 Wabasha Street North in St. Paul. It is actually not that far from the airport. And I would love to do this as a protest and a tribute to, you know, my Tony and his legacy and his role and part in this community. I know that he would really like it. So if you could make it. Anytime you want to go protest Scientology anywhere, but definitely in St. Paul, go ahead and feel free. And I would love to hear about it or see video and all that. So yes, I'm going to put more information about that on the community page, and I will share more about it in the coming days. But I think that would be just a lot of fun to be able to do that before the celebration of life. All right. Good thing we're towards the end of this. Let's see. Oh, Amber, your mom had a Sea Org chest and she kept both our clothes in it. Oh, yeah, that must have been the 80s, because I think that's when they came out. I agree too. Very happy for Jeff. Yes, totally. Thanks SPTV Foundation for getting back to him so quickly. Yes. And if you know anybody that needs help leaving or after having left Scientology, if you go to the SPTVFoundation.org and you click on, do you need help? There is a whole form that you fill out. That is your starting point. You go there and you fill that out. Someone will get a hold of you and ask further questions about it. That is definitely where you want to direct people who you might come across in or who've left Scientology and still need some help. Send them over to the website and they can fill that out. Club Brain Fog, thank you so much for becoming a member. Hip, hip, hooray, and mahalo to you. I appreciate that. Roxy Olameta, thank you for being a member for 2 months. A celebration of Tony's life sounds like a party. He was so awesome. It is a party. It's going to be a party. Liz Ferris, thank you so much for gifting 5 Scientology Life After Occult memberships. That's very sweet. I keep telling Liz, you don't have to do that, but I keep hearing in my head, this isn't even sad. It's just funny. You guys remember Tony would always say then, Liz, just 5, Liz? Oh, good times. And thank you so much for that super chat. Since I can't be there, and if I was, I'd bring food and some handmade truffles for you. I would break my break from sugar to have that, by the way. That sounds amazing. This is the closest I can get. Love you, dear lady. And thank you. Thank you a ton. It is going to be fun. I don't know how many people are going to be there. I think that we're probably going to run out of charcuterie, and that's okay. We're going to make the most of it. What's important is that we come together, we celebrate Tony, and I think it's going to be a fun opportunity to meet each other. If I've not, whether I met you or not, of course, come find me if you're going to be there and say hello. I know people coming from Florida. I'm very excited about. Jenna and Aaron are coming back, and I know Sandy McKenna's coming, and Farrell Cheryl, and Liz Ferris is coming, and Kai, and George, surrounded by Scientology, and so many more. And many of you who've reached out and let me know that you're coming. I appreciate that. I appreciate it a ton. Hey, Laura FM. I think you zoomed by me here, but I didn't say hi. Shared that clip of you and Love is Love. That was fantastic. You were helping her out there. All right, let's see. I think I got everybody. Oh, there you are. We're good. It's all good. And I know that many of you would love to be able to come. And I keep telling people, don't put yourself out to do this. If it works, it works. As we say in Hawaii, if can. If cannot, cannot. There will be some things like, especially when we do hula. I'm trying to learn this hula. It's, oh my gosh, you guys, it's been so long since I've done hula that it's just, I feel so rusty and my knees hurt and my back is killing me today. My sister slept over last night and we worked on it. And I'm hoping, 1, that I'm going to be able to learn it and do it in time, and 2, that I'm going to be able to do it. And if you are there in person, you guys need to all be smiling when I do this and not crying, because I will lose it. And if I'm crying, it's not a good look for hula, and I got to get through it. So I was talking to Jenna about it, and I'm like, you need to be smiling. Well, in hula, your eyes following your hand anyway. So I'm not going to be looking at you guys. It's going to be good though. It is going to be good. And Windy City, he's going too. I know. I've heard from different people. That's why I'm saying, like, for those that want, let's see about setting up the protest. And I'm going to chat with Windy City THETAN Watch too about helping me kind of coordinate that, because there'll be a lot going on, that we'll be getting ready for. And like I said, if you're coming and you're able to help out, or, reach out to my daughter at mytonysluau@gmail.com, and she'll plug you in somewhere, because it'll be, whether it's, we might need help with ride from some people from the airport, or, protesting, or helping the day of, setting up, or just people who we really need to be honest, as Aloha ambassadors there to kind of greet people when they come. We want it to really be fun. This is, it's a huge loss, right? But at the same time, it's like Tony, he made me promise a few things. And one of them was that I would keep doing this. And I told him, not only will I keep doing my channel, I'm going to double down on it. Once, we get a little further ahead and I have more of the bandwidth to put even more time and focus back into this, which I was working on doing prior. I'm going to do that. The other one was that I promised to live my best life, to have an amazing life. It's the last thing he actually said to me, because once he was put on the ventilator, he couldn't speak anymore, but he could write. And the last words I ever heard him say was, I love you. I want you to have an amazing life. And that's just such a gift. And it's motivating, because each time I don't want to do something I need to do or continue to show up here, I remember that. Oh, Lori Plays is coming too. That's awesome. I remember that. And I show up and I keep going, and it's motivating. And coming on and doing this recap, getting through that 1 hour and just having it be a complete distraction kind of from what's happening right now. It's amazing. It's where I feel just the most normal for that time. And usually it's my goal to make it through it without crying, but here we are. So thank you guys all much for showing up and doing that. I will keep sharing updates and news about it. Janet from Another Planet, thank you so much for that super sticker. All right, everybody. Thank you. Neuropsych, we got you. You show up, we got you. I see that every single day. You're right. Tony was a gift. We want to celebrate him both here and in person. But what I was saying is I'll make sure, I got to go find my tissue, but we're almost done. I will make sure that somebody is live streaming the hula and stuff like that. And I'll be sharing pictures and video, I know, or somebody will be. If you want to live stream there, live stream your butt off. There is no Facebook group to live stream this thing. That's a fake page. If you see that on Facebook, there's not. So just so you guys know that. Thank you so much for your kind words, for being here. And I hope you guys can get out and have the most amazing cult-free day.